Chapter 3. Don't let them in your head. Even if a person is financially shipwrecked now, this doesn't mean all marketers can't sell to the individual in a few years. Further, researchers and policy influencers can use the individual to gauge how to direct official and unofficial policy and propaganda in the near future. Some marketers and counselors, I use the term loosely, want in people's heads to manipulate the individual. Take crooked pastors who try to be all things to all people. Eventually, their house of cards will fall. Local dude bros or straw men might use the excuse they're just balancing out a few people in the local population. I won't tell you who sent the straw men I've met, but bear in mind, all global politics is local. Also bear in mind the talking points used by the establishment against independent voices of reason. There's no evil empire, a state employee once told me. You need to go to church, many a rhino has told me. Homeless people retired early, an undercover cop once told me. Don't let straw men grind you down or get in your head. One thing the global elite and their local straw men harp on is not to talk about restoring the republic. The straw men apparently can't see earning money or providing mutual value in restoring the republic, only in selling America down the river, piece by piece. Look what happens with POTUS 45 and his supporters when they try to discuss this. I have made the point the RNC doesn't walk the talk or keep its promises. Be ready for the GOP's agents of disruption to make the Libertarian Party out to be a holdout of child porn and lowering the age of consent advocates. Nope. Those sock puppets are agents of disruption, keeping GOP ranks disciplined. Sometimes the LP seems to be faux opposition. After all, calling out globalist corporate shills invites false accusations, even of domestic terrorism. Concerned Republican volunteers make vent rooms and fake profiles. This has no effect. Going along with the establishment, one could show the elites. The elites don't seem to want to roll out their plan all at once. Going on record as being pro-1A and pro-2A, and then quickly modifying one's stance because of local elite pressure doesn't help. Also, with modern technology, the results of the 2020 and 2022 elections are highly questionable. Look at some Republican candidates who won after several recounts. Again, it's 2023. Why are so many recounts necessary? Did we forget how to count? Sometimes it's best to keep your powder dry. While participating in the college Republicans and local politics, I noticed officials would sequester valid accusations and complaints. The org op tried to make the complaints against the other side go away. Then they came after the PSUCRs with no explanation. The political machines at work are impersonal and eat money like mad. They represent several huge corporate interests and a few large, very organized bodies. Even with a strong grassroots machine, the Democrat establishment is safe as houses in Oregon. They have been for 40 years. Activists and candidates will approach office holders. The well-reasoned ones will be grinded down, misquoted, threatened, and ambushed. The doofuses who can't sort out the good guys from the bad guys will be made examples of by being highlighted by the media. Yes, even global elite cuck radio that conservative old men from progressive churches listen to. What good has listening to conservative radio done? Go to the Leadership Institute if you refuse to be a good whipping boy. Chapter 8. Political Economy and Balance of Power. Being that all global politics is local, local authorities can intervene in people's affairs in order to pick and choose winners and keep everyone balanced out. If elites decide what the political or demographic makeup of a city will be, it's hard to fight against the trend. In the greater Portland area, the Republican Party frequently doesn't field candidates. Run for office as a Republican, and you could get slandered, gaslit, deplatformed, and ambushed by your own side. I don't know how many times I've heard pastors on Christian radio use the alleged missteps of local Republican candidates as teachable moments on the radio. The only plan the cucks had was to sell America down the river and let Agenda 2030 run things. POTUS 45 seemed to interrupt this, and now he and his supporters are lambasted, required to get vaccinated, reported as terrorists, deplatformed, and made to pay double the price of gas. Plus, if they're E-quadrant employees, they may be required to volunteer for elite-run causes, required to virtue signal, wear colors, and sign various agreements. Don't say you want to be a billionaire or you want to be financially independent when POTUS 45 was required to donate his presidential salary and when homelessness is rising. By the way, my friend Javier Barron wrote a book called Alchemy, a short book which shows several of the ways remaining to become a billionaire. Be careful which vent rooms you participate in, even anonymously. Several GOP forums are for the benefit of the teachers' union, like the Oregon Republican League. I was booted out of a conservative Oregon politics forum for criticizing the state Republican Party and for pointing out all homeless are not Antifa. I suggested many are homeless due to mental illness, and the medical system is in part to blame. These aren't the talking points of the faux opposition. The faux opposition, like the Democrats of 20 years ago, want all the poors balanced out and equal. Some gurus I follow suggest being anonymous everywhere, online and even some places offline. I feel this is good advice, as is knowing and using corporate law to your advantage. You can go to a vent room, complain about your political gripe, and what happens? The group admins bottle it up for the elites and cuck radio, or Christian radio does teachable moments and gaslighting for the youth group kids. And America slides further into the abyss. Look at the legal term sequester. Chapter 9. The State is Not Antifragile. Censorship, crime, blackmail, the Stanford Test, the Student Leadership Association, the mingling of church and state, the real and astroturfed rioting are all signs the government is not anti-fragile. Government and non-government political bodies raise money and throw it at outrage, and what ensues is only more outrage. To make the government look legit, agents of disruption meddle in media affairs. Agents of disruption meddle in local neighborhoods, and even meddle in the homes of families. We don't see this, or pretend not to see this, because the government is anti-fragile. We see this because the elites and their subordinates jealously guard their power, even against future threats. A tiny minority can get schooled in using red tape and legislation and wage lawfare and cyber warfare against threats and racists and people with a legitimate gripe with any level of government. Remember, all global politics is local. There are local reps for every foreign power at the local level. I knew a guy who, after graduating high school, was off to an elite college, but not before joining the forerunner of Agenda 2030. Bring up Agenda 2030 in an allegedly conservative vent room and see how long till you're kicked out. Anyway, the elite college grad went on to earn a few criminal convictions, and he seems to blame society for his past actions. Further, he asks why he shouldn't be able to run for office. I say, look at the Clintons and Obamas. He doesn't accept this. He also still clings to the doctrines of his high school leadership teachers, who aren't exactly principled conservatives or classical liberals. He still is registered as a Republican.